Home-based food business under the cottage food laws. What are some pros and cons of course, operating a home-based food businesses? What are some of the challenges, some of the benefits, and all of those good things? So in this video from Cottage Food Laws, YouTube's premier home-based food business channel, we are going to talk about 10 pros and 10 cons, some of the good things and bad things about having a home-based food business. And definitely, if this is your first video, hit the subscribe button. We've got tons of great resources, and we have a ton of other YouTube channels for food entrepreneurship. Those links are in the description below this video. All right, so let's start with the pros, some of the positive and beneficial things. Number one, low startup costs. So it is minimal investment is required compared to a traditional food business when you launch a home-based food business. Now, that's always a good thing because most home-based food businesses are started on really small budgets or some extra money you might have put aside as a side hustle. So number one is your low startup cost. Number two, flexible hours for working. Yes, the ability to actually set your own schedule and work from home is true when it comes to a cottage food or home-based food business because you actually can call the shots. If you are looking for a particular amount of money you're trying to make each month, most of the time those businesses and things can be made on the weekends between Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, or even local events and such. And we'll get a little bit more into that in a few minutes. But of course, flexible work hours are always a benefit. Number three, tax benefits. Now, this is a huge one that a lot of home-based food business owners and cottage food operators, when they start, they don't actually realize this, but it is absolutely true. There are huge tax benefits eligible for home office or business-related tax deductions. Even as a matter of fact, on my other channel, Marketing Food Online, I did a huge video about the tax benefits, and I listed a ton of them. So definitely check out that as well in the description below this video. You might want to watch that video. I get into really big detail on that one. So tax benefits are the next one. Number four, local market focus. So it gives you an opportunity to serve and even connect with your local community. If you're already a mom or a dad who is working in the community right now and you have a lot of friends, they would probably love to hear that you're starting a home-based food business. You can get that local market going with your existing your friend base that you have or people that you know, even at your work. You can let them know that you're launching a food business, and hey, you know what? Bring in some samples, let them try it, and then they get them to enjoy it. Then you can begin to sell it, and that's where you create a market for it locally. Number five, creative freedom. Yes, so flexibility to actually create and sell a variety of homemade goods. Of course, cottage food laws in each state vary slightly, of course, but the majority of them have a really long list of different homemade goods and homemade food products that you can actually sell. Everything from baked goods to seasoned nuts to teas and coffees. Some even allow you to do fermented foods, hot sauces, barbecue sauces, even in some states. So it is a great way to get creative. And you know what? If you enjoy making that product and making money at it, why not do it? Number six, less regulatory burden. Now, this is also something that when you first launch a home-based food business, you may be uncertain about, but I can tell you from firsthand experience, of course, I am a food entrepreneur myself, and I have been for 14 years now. We've owned and operated our own business, and we started out, of course, at home, but typically subject to a fewer regulations than a commercial food business too. The FDA has nothing to do with cottage food laws, by the way, to give you a heads up. If anybody tells you that, they are wrong. The FDA does not oversee or have any oversight for cottage food laws. Those are set by the state. They are enforced by local health departments if that is in your state and you have a health department inspection. It is not FDA regulated. So it does have a little bit less regulations, of course, and even in some cases, a lot less need for permits and licenses. There are some states like Florida, you don't even have to have any business license or anything from the state. You can just open your food business from home. Number seven, the personal touch. So it gives the ability to actually offer personalized or even unique products. So if you, let's say you happen to make some hot sauces and you wanted to personalize it, or you want to offer that to people who make gift baskets and you want to personalize it or customize the labeling, that's something that you can actually do. Okay. Of course, make sure that you follow if they do have specific state cottage food regulations requirements for labeling of what's in it, like ingredients and such. But you can actually add a personal touch. It gives you an opportunity to personalize the other label. The front of it, you can have it for someone's wedding or someone's local event or even a company event. Definitely something to look into. Number eight, direct customer feedback. So this is actually one of the best ways to test out a recipe in a sense, or even test out a food product, because it's easy to receive and implement customer feedback for product improvement. Okay. So if you start off, let's say by making a hot sauce, and that's something that you can make at your home under your cottage food law in your state, and you test it out. And some people say, you know what, this is a little too over salty or this is too vinegary. You can test it out and you can kind of get some feedback, but it's instantaneous. It's quick. Because if you go to local farmers markets and you're testing it out, get some people to test it out and say, hey, what do you honestly think of this product? Feedback is actually a huge plus when you are starting a food business from home. Number 9, control over quality. So you can maintain high quality standards for ingredients and even production when you are the one that's running the show. A lot of people want to create a recipe, then they turn it over to a co-packer or private label company. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that the quality of the product, if it's mass produced, is going to be as good as when you make it. So number 9 is control over the quality. Number 10, and lastly, one of the beneficial pros, brand building. This gives you the opportunity to build a local brand with loyal customer base in your area, in your community, in your neighborhoods. When you go to local events and people begin to spread word of mouth about your product, and people love it and they want to buy it, it gives you an opportunity to really test out also your brand building skills. So you can build that brand locally and then from there get into a commercial kitchen or commercial setting, then produce it on a bigger scale and be online. All right, so let's go over some of the cons. Here's some of the downsides of a home-based food business. I'm going to give you 10 of them. Number 1, limited sales channels. Yes, unfortunately, under cottage food laws in every state, there are restrictions on where you can sell your product. Most states actually don't allow you to sell it online and ship it over state lines. Some states have begun to now allow you to sell it online, but it has to be delivered within the state. When you begin to get into shipping over state lines, it becomes more of a commercial situation. And then there's other FDA rules and regulations that may or may not actually come into play with that. So it becomes a little bit more challenging. Number 2, production limits. Yes, unfortunately, there are caps on the amount of money that you can actually earn annually under cottage food laws, and that's in every single state. Some states do have an unlimited amount, but it's few and far between. Most states regulate it and say, look, you can sell 50,000 or 60,000. If you sell above that, then you're going to be in a commercial setting. It's not necessarily a cottage food business. Okay. Number 3, storage space. Now, this is actually, believe it or not, is a little bit of a problem when you do have a home-based food business because your limited space at your home for production and storage of those goods or those ingredients can end up limiting or even being at a point where you can only produce so much because you don't have the space to warehouse, let's say, tons and tons of food or tons and tons of flour, tons of ingredients, whatever it is that you're making. The storage space is a big limitation. Number 4, work-life balance. Now, yes, being at home and living at home, obviously, running a business from home, challenges in separating business activities from your personal life can be a little bit of a challenge. I can attest that too, because working from home, of course, and I have 2 kids, 2 children. My wife and I run the business. So being constantly with each other and having that challenge of separating work from actual business, from personal life, it is a bit of a challenge. This is something you have to work on every day. Number 5, limited scalability. Now, difficulties in expanding beyond a certain point without, of course, moving into a commercial kitchen, that does have a little bit of a downplay with cottage food laws and doing it from home. It doesn't mean it should stop you or eliminate the idea totally, but just keep in mind the scalability begins a bit of a challenge. Number 6, licensing and permits. So you need to navigate local licensing and permit requirements when it's actually applicable. Some states' cottage food laws, there is nothing that you would need to do. There's no inspection. Some of them have actually permits or licenses that actually have to be renewed every year. So you need to be on top of that too. Otherwise, you can get shut down. So making sure you understand the permits and licensing. If you don't, that could be a little bit of a challenge. Number 7, the liability risks. Now, potential liability issues, especially without proper insurance, most cottage food, if not all of them, in every state, don't actually require insurance. Okay. But I personally, being in a food business, I have, of course, a commercial food business. I do have insurance, and I highly recommend that you get it, because if you don't and someone gets sick, you personally can get sued and you can lose everything. Someone does get ill or has an allergic reaction, they can trace it back to your food product. It's going to be a problem for you. Number 8, competition. Increase competition from other local cottage food businesses. I put this in here as a list just to keep your heads up, just to give you kind of a heads up on that. But I personally don't see that as a big hurdle. Competition would really kind of come and play if you have a food product that other people are making. Let's say just cookies, for instance. And if you're producing cookies and there's like 27 other people at local events that are showing up making cookies, yeah, I could see how that could be competition. But all in all, the likelihood of you showing up at an event and having a multitude of people selling the same item is pretty slim and none. Okay. So go after it, pursue it, whatever that food product is, just make it, get it out there and start testing it. Competition, I put it in there on this list just because it might be something you may come into. Number 9, marketing and sales. Now, responsibility for all marketing and sales efforts falls on your shoulders. What does that mean, Damien? Well, all in all, you have to kind of, obviously, you are great at what you make. Okay. Maybe you make a food product, but you're not a marketing expert. You're going to need to learn some marketing skills. Okay. I have plenty of videos on my other channel to help you through that too. Sales, you need to understand the cost of your goods, the retail price point, Profitability, profit and loss. All of these things are things you're going to have to come into play. Okay. Because you are a one man, one woman show when it starts. And maybe you have a husband or a wife that maybe helps you, or even a cousin or a family member or a friend. But all in all, that still falls on your shoulders. So you may need to learn marketing sales. Number 10, consistency in the quality. So now one of the challenges, of course, in maintaining consistency with handmade products is making sure that it's always the same no matter what, because you're going to get customers who obviously love your product and they're going to come back for more and more and more. But you have to make sure that you maintain the quality of the product. Okay. Don't get me wrong. You can make a batch of your cookies. You can make a handful of the items, of roasted nuts, or maybe some coffee or tea, roasted tea, and stuff like that. Those things are good in small batches, but the challenge comes when you have to make them in big batches. Okay. Now, really quick, I'm going to give you 5 additional pros and 5 additional cons. Really, before I wrap up the video, really fast and easy. Number 11. Some of them give you 5 more pros. Community support, strong community support for local businesses. There's a lot of really local people who love to buy from small businesses, and you are considered a small business. Even though you're from home, you're still a small business. So that's actually a benefit. Number 12, environmental impact. Reduce carbon footprint by sourcing locally or minimizing transportation. Now, if you can source a lot of your ingredients within a small 5, 10, 15-mile radius of your home, that's a huge plus, believe it or not. People love that, okay? Because you're not buying a product that costs a fortune to ship it across the country for you to get it. Number 13, cost control. Direct control over expenses and pricing. Again, I touched a little bit on that earlier, but let me just repeat that. You have the ability to actually control all of the costs of your product. And if you can make a product very inexpensively, but charge enough to make a good margin, then you're going to be a successful business owner. Number 14, educational experience. Opportunity to learn and grow as an entrepreneur. Starting from scratch from home gives you a chance to start small, learn as much as you can. I've been in the business now, been in the food industry for over 30 years, but I've been in the business of owning my own small business for 14 years, and I'm still learning. You need to be open for learning. Number 15, family involvement. So it gives you the ability to involve family members in the business, even your kids, your family, your friends. If you've got close relatives who can help you out, then all the better. Okay. So that gives you an opportunity to spend more time, even quality time with family members, and then build a business around it. All right. So 5 more additional cons, a couple of negative things, of course, but I don't want to finish off on negative, but these are things you should be aware of. Health regulations. You got to adhere to strict health and safety standards. Many cottage food laws within the states have specific guidelines that you can't do certain things in your kitchen while you're producing a product. So you need to be really aware of that too. Supply chain issues. You have the potential difficulties in sourcing ingredients consistently. Now, this is something I recommend. Now, you don't have to buy stuff locally. Like I said, you can go online, but from all my own experience, make sure you have a multitude of vendors. I deal right now with about 30 to 35 vendors. You need to have more than one person with the same product, because if they're out and you need it, it's going to cause a problem. Time management. Challenges in managing time effectively between production, sales, and administration. That can be a lot to handle, and especially if you're doing it from home. Okay. So you need to give yourself time, be patient with the process, and understand and learn that time management is one of the most valuable parts of running a business, because you can succeed and fail based upon how you manage your time. Of course, cash flow and a couple other aspects are very important, but time management is a big one. Number 14, customer base limitation. Now, of course, this is actually true. The only drawback to having a home-based food business is you're relying on local people, local customers. So if you're going to an event and maybe has only 1,000 people, hopefully 1,000 people that go to that event are going to buy from you. They may not. So you're kind of limited to local customers unless regulations change and they allow you to maybe sell online. Lastly, initial learning curve. There's a bit of a learning curve for those new to the food business operations in the food industry. So if you don't know anything about it, you just know that I make a great hot sauce, and you're trying to figure out, where do I start? There's going to be a learning curve. So you need to give yourself time to understand how that works. Okay. Be patient with the process. Ask as many questions as you can. If you don't have resources, check out, of course, our channels here on YouTube. But if you don't have anything there, obviously go to Google and Google as many questions as needed. Okay. So if you have any questions about launching your home-based food business, those are 20 pros and cons to getting it up and running. If you have any more comments, let us know, and I'll see you on our next video.